You've definitely seen this picture before. It's one of the most iconic images of space ever captured, right? It looks more like a grand cosmic painting than a photograph. But these celestial giants, the pillars of creation, are so much more than just a pretty picture. So let's dive in and really deconstruct what's happening inside this incredible stellar nursery. When the Hubble Space Telescope dropped this image back in 1995, it just completely captured the public's imagination. It wasn't just another snapshot of distant lights in the dark. No, this was a picture of cosmic action. It showed all of us that the universe wasn't this quiet, static, unchanging place, but a really dynamic, evolving, and sometimes pretty violent stage. For as famous as it is, the image can be a little misleading. I mean, are these things flat? Are they solid? Are they just peaceful clouds floating around? And what does creation even mean here? Well, we're going to peel back the layers and get to the bottom of that exact question. Okay, so to start, we really need to get a sense of the sheer physical scale of what we're looking at. Because this is not just some flat curtain hanging in space. Not at all. First off, let's get our bearings. The pillars are about 7,000 light years away from us. That means the light that makes up this image, the light hitting our telescopes, it actually left these structures 7,000 years ago. That's long before the pyramids of Giza were even finished. Just think about that. And their size, it's just staggering. The biggest pillar, the one you see on the left, stretches about 4 light years from its base all the way to its tip. Now, 1 light year is already about 6 trillion miles, so yeah, we're talking about structures on a truly colossal scale. And this is where that number really sinks in. That single pillar is almost as tall as the distance from our sun to its closest neighbor, Proxima Centauri. Just try to wrap your head around that. Imagine a structure in space so vast it could almost bridge the gap between stars. It's incredible. And this right here is one of the biggest misconceptions. This isn't one single flat object. Thanks to some really clever 3D modeling, we now know it's actually a collection of 4 distinct clouds, all at different depths from our point of view, creating this incredibly complex 3-dimensional landscape. All right, so how we see the pillars really depends on the kind of light we use to look at them. And this is where the story gets really cool, especially when you compare the classic view with a revolutionary new one. In visible light, the kind our eyes see, and the kind Hubble is famous for, the pillars look dark, they look opaque. That's because all that dense dust acts like cosmic smoke, just soaking up the light and creating these amazing silhouettes. But it's also hiding everything that's going on inside. So with Hubble, we see these dark, solid-looking pillars, and maybe a few stars that are actually in front of them. But then you turn on the James Webb Space Telescope and look in the near infrared, and wow, the pillars suddenly become almost see-through, and thousands of newborn stars just pop into view. The whole story changes from seeing a surface boiling away to seeing violent jets and these little star-forming incubators deep inside. And that's the magic of infrared light. These longer wavelengths can pass right through all that dust that blocks visible light. It's like having cosmic X-ray vision. So Webb just pierces that dusty veil, and for the very first time, we get to see the pillars for what they really are, a bustling, absolutely teeming nursery full of newborn suns. So what is this new view actually telling us? Well, it shows that this creation process isn't gentle or peaceful. It's actually a chaotic, violent battle between the force of gravity pulling things together and intense radiation trying to tear it all apart. The secret to star birth here is inside these things called EGGs, which stands for evaporating gaseous globules. The best way to think of them is as dense cosmic cocoons. They're packed so tightly with gas and dust that they can actually resist getting boiled away by radiation from nearby massive stars, and that gives the baby stars inside a chance to form. And what's really amazing is that thanks to Webb, we can basically do a head count. Astronomers have found 73 of these EGGs. But what's fascinating is that only about 15% of them actually have young stars inside right now. This suggests that star formation might happen in waves, with the other 85% just waiting for their moment to collapse and ignite. So how do the pillars get that iconic shape in the first place? It's a process called photoevaporation. Here's how it works. You've got massive, hot stars just off camera blasting the clouds with intense radiation. This radiation literally boils away the less dense gas on the surface. But those super dense eggs, they hold their ground. They act like little shields protecting the gas directly behind them, and that's what carves out these incredible finger-like shapes. And once a star is finally born, it doesn't just sit there quietly. Nope. These baby stars are incredibly active. They fire off these narrow, super fast jets of material from their poles that just slam into the surrounding gas at unbelievable speeds. And when I say unbelievable, I mean it. The material in these jets is moving at about 450,000 miles per hour. This is the violent part of that paradigm shift we talked about. This is the universe as a dynamic, energetic, and really chaotic place. Okay, now for one of the most intriguing questions about the pillars. Given that we're seeing light that's 7,000 years old, are they even still there today? For a while, the answer was a very dramatic, probably not. So here's the debate. Back in 2007, some data suggested that a massive supernova had exploded nearby, and its shock wave probably tore through the pillars about 6,000 years ago. That meant we were looking at a ghost, an image of something that was already gone. The newer theory, though, suggests a much slower death, with stellar winds just gradually eating them away over the next 100,000 years or so. So what's the verdict? Well, the current thinking is that the pillars are in fact still there. A supernova that powerful would have left behind a very bright calling card in X-rays, and we just don't see it. So the ghost theory has mostly been put to rest. The pillars are dying, yes, but they're fading away gracefully, not being blown to bits. So why should we care so much about these distant clouds of gas? What's the big takeaway? Well, it turns out that studying the pillars of creation is, in a very real way, like looking at our own origin story. So let's just quickly recap. We've learned that this is a battleground between gravity, which builds stars, and radiation, which destroys the clouds. We've seen how photoevaporation is like a cosmic scalpel that carves the pillars and can even trigger new star birth. And crucially, we found complex organic molecules and big dust grains inside, the actual building blocks of planets. And maybe the most profound thing? We found a baby star, E42, that's about the same size as our sun. Studying it is like getting a glimpse of our own solar system's baby picture. And that leaves us with this one final, really fascinating thought. The evidence strongly suggests that our own sun was probably born in a place a lot like the Eagle Nebula, a dynamic, high-radiation environment. So when you look at the pillars of creation, you're not just looking at some distant, beautiful object. You might just be looking at a reflection of our own cosmic beginnings.